There are expectations that the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to make a move with Mike Tomlin, and it's going to come about soon. And it's a very, very easy call and one that everybody should probably expect to happen. What's going on, everybody? I'm Noah Strackbine. Thank you for jumping on to Steelers to Go, your daily to-go cup of Pittsburgh Steelers news and analysis. Find us on youtube.com/allsteelerstalkers. Subscribe anywhere you get your podcast. Today, we're talking about a contract extension for Mike Tomlin, one that I am not alone on speculating will happen soon, and I want to give credit where credit's due. This conversation started on 93.7 The Fan when Pittsburgh Post-Gazette reporter Ray Fittipaldo said that he is rather confident that a deal will get done and has some expectation that that deal will get done rather soon. Quote, "This is the way that it usually happens. There are different time frames when it has happened in the past. There's everything to suggest that Art Rooney is happy with Mike Tomlin, that he likes the direction of the young team. I would imagine it happens at some point before the start of the season. Am I 100% certain it's going to happen? No, but I think all signs do point to that happening again this year," Fittipaldo said. I have to agree 100%, and I have to say this. There are going to be two sides of this argument. There will be the people that say this is the easiest decision the Pittsburgh Steelers can make. Obviously, they should re-sign and extend Mike Tomlin. There's no reason not to extend Mike Tomlin. When you have a winning coach, you have to keep him around. And in Pittsburgh, it gets very, very hard to do what this organization has done for the last 50 years, and that is to retain coaches and prove successful in doing so. Then there will be the argument of, well, he hasn't won a playoff game since 2017. It's been a long time of, this team is good enough, I guess. A lot of 16 consecutive win seasons, but they don't go anywhere. There will be the argument of he only won with Bill Cowher's team. Plenty of negative. Plenty of that side of the fence, that side of the argument, and I'm not going to discount that side of the argument because I think it's valid. I think at this point, it's been too long without a playoff win for Mike Tomlin. You cannot ignore it anymore. He needs to win a playoff game. Nobody's sitting around saying Mike Tomlin needs to win a Super Bowl. It's got to happen this year or he's done. He's the worst coach ever because he hasn't won a Super Bowl in 10 years. Nobody's sitting around saying that. A Super Bowl is the hardest thing you could do in sports. It is ridiculous. To win a Super Bowl more than one time in your career is as impressive as it gets. And Mike Tomlin's already won one. So at that point, if he never wins one again, he's still a Hall of Fame coach. That doesn't change. Winning a Super Bowl is nearly impossible. Most people don't do it. To do it once is impressive. To do it twice cements yourself in history. Mike Tomlin should want to win a Super Bowl. That's obviously the goal. That will remain the goal. But that's not what fans should be asking for. What they should be asking for is simple. Win a damn playoff game. Go into the postseason, make some noise. Doesn't have to be all the noise. It's a young team. It's a young quarterback. A lot of development. An offensive coordinator that's very iffy. Questions. Lots and lots of questions. But you solve and answer almost every single one of them with one playoff win. So much noise goes away with one playoff win. But it doesn't stop the Pittsburgh Steelers and shouldn't stop the Pittsburgh Steelers from extending Mike Tomlin. It makes no sense to move on from this guy. What Mike Tomlin has done for the Pittsburgh Steelers organization is second to none. To go 16 seasons and keep a team competitive in situations that he's been dealt with. It hasn't always been easy. He's had Ben Roethlisberger, I'll give him that much. But he's also not had Ben Roethlisberger for a season and turned Duck Hodges into a winning record. He's turned Kenny Pickett, who was, well, pretty bad in his rookie season, into a winning season. He's turned Ben Roethlisberger at the age of 37 or 38, working behind the worst offensive line the NFL may have ever seen into a winning record and a playoff berth. He's done things that other coaches wouldn't be able to do. He holds a team together better than anyone else in the NFL. There are 3 coaches that you will think of, maybe 4, depending on how you think of Pete Carroll or maybe Sean Payton now that he's back. But there are essentially three coaches that you turn to and say, at all costs, this guy is one of the best coaches and can do anything you ask him to do as a coach, can overcome anything you need him to overcome as a head coach. Mike Tomlin, Andy Reid, and Bill Belichick. And if we're being totally honest, Belichick has slipped in the last couple of years. Andy Reid has proven stronger than ever. And Mike Tomlin has done something he has done every single season since joining the Pittsburgh Steelers. And that is prove that he could keep a team together in the worst of times enough to give yourself a chance. But he needs to make more of those chances once he gets into the dance. He talks constantly about just wanting to get into the dance. That's where it all starts. Well, if you don't go anywhere from the start, you're never going to do anything. And people are going to have more and more reason to complain and feel as if it's time to move on. It's not. I'll go back on that one. The Steelers should keep Mike Tomlin. An extension should come and it should be easy. And I get it that the pressure needs to be higher from Art Rooney and everybody else, and the expectations need to be higher by Art Rooney and everybody else. But it doesn't mean that he should be on the hot seat. It doesn't mean that Art Rooney should tell him or Omar Khan should tell him that if he doesn't win a playoff game or make a Super Bowl run in the next 2 years that he's gone. It shouldn't be the case. It should be, Mike, we understand what you're capable of. This is a team. Mike Tomlin is the head of that team. He's the most important part of that team. And you could ask any player that's come through a Pittsburgh Steelers locker room in the last 17 years, and they will tell you Mike Tomlin is the most important piece of that team. Guys will die for Mike Tomlin. That's not an exaggeration. I've heard players only say great things about Mike Tomlin and what he does to an organization, what he does to a football team, and how well he could hold a group together through adversity. The conversation should be more, we're hitting a point where people are getting upset and it's justified. We're hitting a point where it's hard to argue, well, we've won 16 seasons in a row when we haven't won a playoff game since 2017. It's hard to argue against the people who are coming up with reasons for you not to be here. We're hitting that point. You have to win playoff games. An extension for Mike Tomlin is easy. Sign him to an extension. Keep him around. You didn't keep Matt Canada because you were being cautious with Kenny Pickett, and hold Mitch Trubisky here and extend him because you were being cautious with the Kenny Pickett, and then go out and decide next season we're just going to go get a new head coach. Because at that point, who cares? That doesn't make any sense. That's not what the Pittsburgh Steelers are here to do. That's not what they're looking to do. That's not what they will do. It should be expected that Mike Tomlin gets a contract extension, and it should be expected, just like Fittipaldo said, rather soon. Expect one to get done before the season. Expect it to be just like it was last time with a 3-year deal-ish. And expect the Pittsburgh Steelers to not put Mike Tomlin on a hot seat or to tell him this might be the last one. He's 51 years old. If Mike Tomlin wanted to do this for the next 20 years, he could do so successfully. And it's been done before, and it's continued to be done by some guys still in the NFL. He's got plenty of coaching left. And if he realistically pulls off another Super Bowl in the next 10 years or 2 Super Bowls in the next 20 years, that is a very successful coaching run. It's very, very rare that you do what guys like Bill Belichick did or guys like Andy Reid are doing. Mike Tomlin, all he's got to do is continue to put himself in competitive situations, but he's got to make the most out of those competitive situations. I'm here for all the arguments. I agree with both sides. I'm no longer sitting here talking about how Mike Tomlin is flawless, because I don't believe that he is. But I do believe he's the second or third best coach in the NFL. I do believe that there is zero question whether or not he should be the Pittsburgh Steelers head coach. I think there's zero question whether or not he should remain that head coach with the contract extension. I think there's zero question whether or not Mike Tomlin is a great head coach. And I think there's zero question whether or not he's on track for a Hall of Fame career. He's just got to put it on the table and win a couple of postseason games and give the Pittsburgh Steelers a real opportunity come January. I think that's the top of his mind, obviously. It's the top of Art Rooney's mind, obviously, and it's the top of everybody in Pittsburgh's mind, obviously. It's got to happen. No more excuses. But at the same time, Mike Tomlin's not going anywhere.